welcome to Beyond Focus TV. My name is Angie Daniel and I am the hostess for the show. On tonight's show, we're going to have with us the Organization for the Advancement of Nigerians. We have two representatives who are going to talk to us about pretty much everything that they cover within the group. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I'll introduce them to you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. We are here with Mr. Francis James and Mr. Solomon Bakare. They are two representatives of the Organization for the Advancement of Nigerians. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
First, I wanted to say, on behalf of Beyond Focus TV, I wanted to thank you guys for coming on board to just highlight the ideas of what you represent within the community and how you're working so hard to change the aspect of Africans within the community.
You're very welcome.
First, with that being said, I wanted you to introduce yourself and then you do the same and what post that you host within the organization.
Thank you very much. We're very honored to be here as representatives of the Organization for the Advancement of Nigerians. We thank Beyond Focus for having us on your show. Angie and Jean, thanks a lot. My name is Francis James. I am a member of the Board of Directors of OAN and also the chairman of the Nigeria Independence Day Program Planning Committee.
Okay. And Mr. Bakare?
Thank you once again for having us. My name is Solomon Bakare, and I have the privilege of being the current president of the Organization for the Advancement of Nigerians, OAN.
Okay. Two-part questions. Part one of the question is, can you tell us the background of the organization, when it was founded and by whom, and then why was it founded?
I'll be glad to step in, and I'm sure our current president may want to jump in and chime in too. When we came to this country, I mean, you look at us right now, most of us have lost all our air. Okay. When we came in here, we were much younger. Okay. And sometime around 1989, most of us were still in school, and we found it appalling that it was practically impossible for a Nigerian to walk into a financial institution in the U.S. and open a bank account. Lo and behold, a bank, it was called National Westminster, I guess, with headquarters in London, did a very extensive white paper which was published and given to several financial institutions on how to identify a Nigerian fraudster who comes into your institution. And we looked at it and said, we cannot sit back and allow this to stand. So that, in addition to all the negative media stereotyping of Nigerians, caused a band of young Nigerians then in our 20s to come together and say, we would not take it anymore. Okay. So that led to the genesis of the formation of this organization.
Okay.
And not only getting a financial transaction with a bank, but you find it difficult to get a job.
Yes.
You graduated from school, people look at you, where are you from Nigeria? Oh, you went for an interview like 3-4 times. Okay. At the end of the day, they tell you, oh, we're sorry, you know, even though you have all the qualification and the requirements. So these are the reasons why some of us felt that, listen, are we going to sit down or like this, or are we going to help the community? This is not just a personal fight, it's a community fight.
Okay. I want to candidly talk about what these stereotypes are. What would you guys consider to be negative stereotypes that stopped the Nigerian community? Because I remembered early 1990, if not 1990, within the Haitian community, there was this whole idea of how Haitians brought AIDS to the country without having any studies. Because when you talk about stereotyping people and putting a stamp on them so they don't move on, it's not, like you said, it's not just not getting a bank account. It's getting people to look at you differently. It's getting people to understand an aspect of what you're not and who you're not, but based on their belief of what they've read, to have the idea. So let's talk about what is considered stereotyping that pushed you guys to create this organization.
Well, a big part of it is what I would call a broad brush being applied to all Nigerians. Of course, because someone has a distinct Nigerian tribal mark, or someone speaks with a particular type of accent, or through their names you can identify them as a Nigerian, you automatically lump them together as people who have a tendency to either defraud you or people who have a tendency to commit some type of petty crime, because Nigerians typically are not, they've not been stereotyped to be hardcore criminals, but it's either Nigerians, Nigerians who be involved in credit card frauds and things like that. And as my current president mentioned over there, that was a very big issue. Some of us went to school, studying finance, accounting, and things like this, and these are professions that requires high degree of integrity.
Yes.
So how would I walk into any of the major financial institutions and I'm looking for a job and I know that I'm qualified and I'm being pushed aside and say, you know what, they would not tell you the reason why you were not hired. Of course, I mean, it's always going to be, oh, you know what, we chose a different candidate. And that type of broad brushing was definitely a major driver that caused us to say something needs to be done, not just because of us, but more so for the future generation of Nigerians who will be coming behind us.
Okay. You know what I meant to...
Can I just piggyback on that? The name, our name is kind of distinct, and you can easily identify, are you a Nigerian? Without telling you, no, by my name that I'm from Nigeria. And when you walk in or you send your resume to a company or financial institution and they look at your name, it's either you are called if you are that qualified and then disqualified later, or you are never called at all.
Okay.
Right. And these are the things that motivated some of us. I said, listen, we got to fight this. Not all of us are that bad.
Can you imagine, like, discrimination is based on your name alone? You understand? Yeah. That this is part of what you have to deal with. And when I was talking to someone earlier, and then we mentioned about how many steps you have to go by to bypass for you to become a professional here. Because you have the whole name discrimination, you have the complexion discrimination, you have the gender discrimination.
The accent discrimination, everything is there.
And then you have to be smart enough to study and get that degree. So, you know, you work harder than anybody else to make it. But what I wanted to, probably people watching this probably know of Nigerians, but they don't know the history of Nigeria. A little brief history of Nigeria, because I wanted to get you guys to talk about it a little bit, of where you're from, you know, the whole 9 yards, and then we get deeper into conversation. But before we do that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the history, and we'll be, you know, we'll continue our conversation.
Okay.
So we're going to take a short break. We'll come right back with the history of Nigeria. Welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. If you're just turning on, we are having this tremendous, beautiful conversation about this Nigerian organization that is right here in New York City, representative by Mr. Francis James and Mr. Solomon Bakare. Earlier, we were talking about the myth of, you know, the misconception of what Africans are. But before we took a break, I wanted you guys to give me a little history of Nigeria. Mr. James?
We'll do our best to
a brief history. You know, I know it's long.
Compress a very extensive history into a very short set. Again, we had some very dynamic young Nigerians who came to the U.S. to study, and this is not typical of Nigeria alone. It's also of a lot of the various African nations like Ghana. We had President Nnamdi Azikiwe, who interestingly with the first Ghanaian president, Nkrumah, who came down to Lincoln University to study in Pennsylvania. Okay. So after acquiring their education, because Nigeria happens to be a British colony, when they went back home, they started a movement for the emancipation and freedom of Nigerians to gain independence. So that's basically the genesis of how Nigeria started fighting to get its independence from Great Britain. Fortunately, Azikiwe and some other young Nigerians like Akitola, Wolawa, and things like that, they banded together. They were able to win independence from Nigeria in 1960. Having said that, Nigeria It's a nation of 160 million people right now, and is the most populous black nation in the world. Nigeria is blessed with significant amount of natural resources.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the U.S. being the dominant culture, dominant power in the Western world, Nigeria is actually the dominant nation, both in terms of population and in terms of resources and wealth in Africa.
In Africa.
Nigeria happens to be the third largest supplier of oil to the United States. So the relationship between Nigeria and U.S. happens to be very, very tight.
Yes.
Nigeria also has a very significant tight relationship with Great Britain. Nigeria has over 250 different dialects.
Over 250?
250 different dialects. So you can basically put a collection of about 50 Nigerians over here, and we all can be speaking different languages. So it's a blessing, but at the same time, it poses its own area of challenges when you do not have a unified lingua franca.
Do you at least have one?
Yeah, right.
Besides
basically,
English.
the official language of Nigeria is actually English.
English, okay.
It's English.
Okay.
So I'll turn it over to the president. Maybe the president will add.
You've covered most of the thing. When people look at Nigeria, people think Nigeria is just one country with one language.
Okay.
But we are multilingual.
250.
Right. We have different dialects. Just like my friend just said now, you might call 5 Nigerians here and none of them understand each other. That's why we have English as our lingua franca.
Okay.
So Nigeria, we have different cultures. We are multicultural. We are multilinguistic. We have so many differences in terms of culture, but we have that love for Nigeria. That's one thing that binds us together.
Okay.
The unity of Nigeria.
I wanted to talk about, you guys have your Independence Day. I know that you are part of the chair for the Independence Day
Planning
Committee, right? When is that, and what does that entail, and how do you make that work within New York, getting people to understand that this is the day that we need to celebrate?
Interestingly, when we talk about independence, of course, Nigeria became independent on October 1, 1960.
Yes.
So what we try to do in celebrating this Independence Day is to pick this closest Saturday to October 1st. When we started this in 1919, we actually started, I think the first independence was probably in 1990 or 1991. We started with just a few Nigerians. We must have been probably less than 200. We started with a flatbed truck, but we kept at it. We kept walking and walking. And this has grown to become the largest celebration of Nigerian independence anywhere in the world, including Nigeria.
Okay.
And it is the only African nation in New York City, which is the capital of parades, that has its Independence Day celebrated as a parade on the street of New York City. So, of course, we want to thank the government of New York City because they've been very, very cooperative.
That's good.
This government is very embracing, very, I'm telling you, very open and welcoming to the multi-ethnic groups that we have over here. So we thank the government of New York City for that. So all Nigerians and friends of Nigeria know that we celebrate this on the Saturday that's closest to October 1st. So they put that on their calendars. And now we have Nigerians and different friends of Nigerians coming from all over the world. People travel all the way from Europe to attend the Independence Day celebration in New York.
Where is it held at?
It's held right now where we hold it on 2nd Avenue. The parade would normally proceed from 54th Street to 44th Street. Then after the parade, we have a street activity, which is pretty much a Nigerian festival at the Dagama Show Plaza, which is on 47th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue.
Okay. So it entails like a parade and then festivities.
We had the parade, we started the parade from 54 to 44, which apparently is the Nigerian House. So we had a review stand there where we have the officials and the dignitaries, they review the parade, and after that we all migrated to the park and continued the festivity.
Okay. I know sometimes when a community get together, it takes so many different aspects of that organization to make it work. Is there, besides yourselves, like how do you diversify, like create different group of people to fund this, because its funding is huge? Do you have your own organization within it that fund it for the Independent Day?
I think that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it so that we can typically, and this is very common among organizations. I don't care if it's black, white, or green organizations. Too many people look to the government to help in funding their activities. I do not believe in that mantra. I hold fervently to that very common saying that we all throw around carelessly these days: ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So what we did is we challenged ourselves and said, what can we do for our community? Because we see this as a great platform to bring Nigerians out together. Nigerians from all creeds, from all bands of life, bring them together one day. It's actually a 3-day event to celebrate our presence here in the United States, and then use that to push our agenda of trying to drive good governance in Nigeria. So how do we fund this? Some people have said, oh yeah, the government is giving us money to fund it. The government does not fund our parade. We as individuals raise money amongst ourselves, among Nigerian businesses, among Nigerian churches, and of course we do have some corporate sponsors like Western Union, MoneyGram, BCAT.
I actually want to ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
I like the funding part of it, because it's interesting how you said that people think that the government is sponsoring it. I'm going to take a short break, and then when we come back, I'll ask you my second part of this question. We'll be right back.
Every first Saturday in October, Nigerians in New York and neighboring states of the United States gather to celebrate the nation's independence anniversary. This year's celebration, which was to mark the 52nd Nigeria Independence Day, was held on Saturday, October 6, 2012. As early as 9 o'clock in the morning, Nigerians from the 5 boroughs of New York, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx, as well as the adjoining state of New Jersey, even those from outside the immediate vicinity of New York, thronged E54 Street and 2nd Avenue to join the parade of colorful floats as the green, white, green colors of Africa's most populous nation shone brightly in the skies of America's commercial nerve center. Young and old, men and women, Muslims and Christians.
Welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. If this is your first time watching, we are here every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. on channel 68. We are also on Facebook, so you can go and look for Beyond Focus TV on Facebook and like us. To continue our conversation, we were talking about how you get the Independence Day Parade funded. It's very interesting. I like the fact that you said the government does not sponsor it. So I wanted you to tell me how you get the sponsorship to hold a 3-day event like that.
Well, I mean, we Nigerians, we're very passionate. We're thanking God for everything. It's not by our own power. What we do is we reach out to the churches, we reach out to the mosque, we reach out to the Nigerian businesses. Of course, we also reach out to each other. Look, Nigerians are blessed. I mean, most of us are professionals by the grace of God. We are able to dip a little into our own pockets to give back to our community. And we're passionate about doing this because we know that this young generation of Nigerians are looking forward for us to do it. We'll reach out to corporate sponsors, as I mentioned before, Western Union, MoneyGram, Dish Network, ARIC, which is the national flag airline to Nigeria right now. CUNY, interestingly, City University of New York. These guys have been very, very steadfast in their sponsorship of this event. So with sponsorship like that and the support of the Nigerian community, it has become a much easier job. I'm not saying that it's totally headache-free, but it's become a much easier job for us to raise funds to sponsor this 3-day event.
And if I can just emphasize on what Mr. James has said, the event is neither sponsored by the Federal Republic of Nigeria or the Consulate General in New York. It is sponsored by
the people,
friends of Nigeria, individual businesses, and the likes.
What I wanted to bring is because I know it takes so much work to get an organization working. It takes so much effort to bring people together. On behalf of the organization of the advancement of Nigeria, what would be the one thing you would want the community to know about the organization and that event in itself?
People will know what it takes to put together an event of that nature and the other events that we have, because the parade is not the only event.
Okay.
They know that primarily it takes one's belief in you need to have a vision. You have to have a passionate belief in that vision, and you have to have unflinching commitment to carry that vision
Yes.
forward. Most of these activities that we see right now being either sponsored or executed by ON, it's pretty much done by a handful of people.
Okay.
But what we have been very successful in doing is tapping into additional resources by working with partners from different Nigerian organizations. So by working with these partners, it has lightened the burden a bit. It still requires tremendous amount of work, but at least with this partnership that we have with Nigerian organizations, it makes it a lot easier for us to be able to distribute the work so that no one becomes excessively burdened.
Okay. And another question I wanted to mention, because you mentioned that this is not the only event that you guys host for the Nigerian community. What else do you guys do to bring the community together?
I'll let Mr. President handle that.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
Most people see OAN as the Independence Day Parade organizers.
Okay.
But we are more than that. There are so many tangible things that we've been doing. We have the Nigerian Educational and Career Day for our youth, where we invite professionals to come and share the experience with them.
When is that?
That is, we organize it based on
date and time, typically around May or June.
Okay.
Right. We call professionals to come and just speak to them, enlighten them as to what kind of career they want to pursue.
Yes.
We have the Niger Youth Party, which is a forum for our youth to network, not just to party, but to share information and make friendship, and hopefully maybe they have some kind of intimacy from there. We organize the Nigerian sports event, whereby we have the youth competing in different sports. So we have so many things that we have organized. We organize the Nigerian Law Association, I think.
Okay.
And we put together the Nigerian religious leaders.
Absolutely.
So there's so many things
I want
that
to put you guys on the spot right now.
Yeah,
Quick question. Do you guys have a scholarship that helped with education? And if not,
Yeah, we should be doing it right.
do you guys
I think we kind of organized one before, but just like we said, we had a very tremendous amount of challenges in terms of funding. We don't have that resources to generate enough fund for all these activities that we would otherwise like to do. So maybe with people looking at this forum, maybe they can come in and chip into our purse. We much appreciate that. There are so many things we want to do, but we don't have the resources to do it.
And I think it's really important for, as a community, for people to understand that if you support your community, because it's not just supporting, like sending money your way, sending money to your family, it's getting your community to grow. If you have a child that's born up here, definitely this kid is not going to be like the Nigerian back home.
Absolutely.
But getting them to understand what the culture is, getting them to understand the aspect, not just the clothing, what it means, the education, what it means, the history of the country, what it means. For you to be proud, it takes so much more work. As a group of people, we could do that to get our kids to understand the aspect behind the personhood, you know.
You're right.
So with that being said, I wanted to ask you guys if you guys have any phone numbers, email addresses, or anywhere people can reach out to you and maybe become a member or help you out.
All right.
I think our primary means of contact is for people to visit us on our website, which is www.oanweb.org. And you can also connect with us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. Those are the easiest way, and we have our membership application. And for those who also want to see past activities and events about ON, there's a very large an extensive photo gallery over there.
Yes, I saw that.
You can see different events, and we will be loading photographs and possibly the video of this year's celebration. We will be loading that, I would believe, within the next 2 weeks or so. We're just about done with the work on that.
Okay. So what's the future plan for the organization for this end of year coming?
We'll go to the Mr.
Mr. President?
We have actually started on working on next year's Independence Day Parade.
Okay.
And next year, we hope maybe you will cover us. We have so many
Definitely.
activities lined up. We have our picnic. Will be
Yes.
coming up around June or May ending. We will also have the Niger Youth, the Educational and Career Day. Most of these events we plan on executing, and as we have enough
We will
fun,
cover you.
we will continue to broaden our project in the community.
This is the end of our show. I usually ask people to say one last word to the community, so I'll give you guys the platform to say the last thing that's on your mind you would like for the community to think of.
I just want to assure our viewers, because I'm pretty sure we have a lot of non-Nigerians who are probably looking at this event. Our focus is not only to benefit Nigerians. Whatever the organization can do to reach out and touch other communities, we are here to do it. We are involved in organizing volunteer activities. Even we're working on one right now with regards to the recent Hurricane Sandy that we just experienced. And whenever there is any need for our community to band together to be of assistance to other areas, ON has always been looked upon as the conduit for the entire Nigerian community. So we are here to serve the general American community, but we understand that we must have a more narrowly defined focus, which is the Nigerian community. So for those of you who want to reach us, again, as we mentioned before, visit us on our website, onweb.org. And if you have any needs that you believe that our organization can help you meet, please, by all means, send us an email or call us on the 8888 number that's listed on the website.
Mr. Bakare?
We at OAN, we believe that no organization can make it by itself.
Yes.
We believe in forming alliances with other organizations, and we are inviting other organizations in the community, regardless of where they are. We want them to join us. We want to form alliance so that together we can move a mountain. Again, if you want to reach us, you can join us at onweb.org, onweb.org.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, this is the end of our show. Thank you for coming. It was my pleasure to have those great conversations. I love history, so the whole history of Nigeria. I read it on your website. It was really pretty good. And thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime. This is the end of our show. I hope to see you next Tuesday, same place, same time. See you then. Thank you.